Hi everyone, so my name is Junde. I'm back here for the second time today, and I'm going to share with you some key stats in Korea to kick this session off. Okay. Where do I? Okay. Yeah, so I've already done this. If you guys like to know more about our company, we have a booth there. Okay, so let's skip to the data. Okay, so our data covers iOS, App Store, and Google Play, these two stores all over the world. And what we're looking at now, it's going to be country-level stuff, category-level stuff, and apps and publishers in Korea. Okay, firstly, where does Korea stand in the game downloads, global game downloads? So Korea is actually the number 7th country in the world in terms of game downloads. And here you can also see the proportion of Google Play downloads and iOS downloads. So despite being a huge country of downloads, iOS in Korea is pretty small. It's almost equivalent to, you can see, like iOS downloads in India. And you can see the ratio is about 8:2. And if you look at revenue, Korea is the is the 3rd country in the world for games revenue. And a huge part of it, even a bigger proportion compared to downloads, is on Google Play. And this trend of bigger games revenue on Google Play is consistent across East Asian big countries like Korea, Japan, and China. And you also see that there's a huge gap from the 3rd place country and the other countries for Google Play. So we also look at how Korea has progressed as a country based on the total downloads and over 1 year. So on the iOS App Store, Korea is not in the top 10 global for downloads. It's ranked at number 23rd. But despite this lower number of downloads, because of the relatively high ARPU, they're ranked number 10 in the world for iOS games revenue. And there's no change. As for Google Play, there's huge growth in terms of revenue. In terms of download, it has actually gone down 2 ranks because I guess it's because Korea has always been a country that had matured very fast in terms of smartphone penetration, and in terms of population size, there's kind of still a limit. So the only thing that's improving is the network infrastructure. Now you already have 4G LTE, so the average download per person is already very high. So there's only room to grow in terms of the ARPU. So in terms of ARPU, this ARPU has driven Korea to be the number 2 market in the world now in terms of Google Play revenue. Okay, so these are the top games by downloads in Korea for the whole of last year. So there is some difference on iOS and Google Play. On iOS, you see a few more foreign countries, foreign apps and foreign companies, like there's King, there is Imangi, there's EA, and so on. And Google Play is dominated by mainly Korean companies. And of course, you can see that almost every game has Kakao. So for revenues, it's a similar trend. You see some foreign titles. You see Million Arthur. This is a very big Japanese IP from Square Enix. It has performed very well in Japan, Korea, and China. And also you see Gung Ho's Puzzle & Dragons also doing well. And also you see the Supercell and the Digital Cloud also not Korean publishers on iOS. So I asked, so there's a notable difference between the iOS and Google Play. iOS has more foreign titles, foreign publishers. So just now I asked Q from Gameville. He offered some possible explanations. Firstly is that the iOS App Store in Korea is the users there. It's not really representative of the masses in Korea. They are part of the small group that somehow chose to not have an Android. And the second thing is that a lot of iOS, the decisions for featuring games are kind of happen regionally or even globally. So a lot of these games like Million Arthur, Clash of Clans, and Puzzle Dragons also receive a feature spotlight in Korea. Next, we look at the top. Yeah, top publishers by downloads in Korea. So Korea downloads, Korea users channels, distribution is dominated by mainly Korean companies. You see CJ, you see Gameville, and there are some foreign companies in EA, Gameloft, and Rovio. Gameloft is performing consistently well across China, Japan, and Korea in terms of the foreign titles, downloads, and revenues. And for Google Play, it's the same story, CJ Group and Gameville. Now we look at the top publishers by revenue. So again, because if you dominate distribution, you would dominate revenue. So this is, again, CJ Group. And okay, just one thing to note, for our rankings here, we go by parent publisher. So we include every publisher's subsidiaries. So Gameville here would also include revenues and downloads from Camtus. But we also have Camtus here because even if just counting their revenues before acquisition, it's substantial enough to drive them to number 7 spot. So all in all, you can say it's a very good acquisition by Gameville. And also, there's good to mention that the Shanda is also on the rankings, and also Kunlun, also known as Korean Game in Korea. So these companies have already been operating in Korea since the PC and online games era. So when they transition to mobile, it's much easier. Digital Cloud at number 10 is a more of a different exception. They are a slightly newer company based out of Chengdu in China. They have a lot of Sanguo themed games. Sanguo is like Romance of Three Kingdoms, but this kind of, although it's more based in Chinese traditional themes, this theme is more widely accepted across China, Japan, Korea, and also parts of Southeast Asia. Okay, finally, we look at the top foreign publishers in Korea and their top title. So number 1 is Korean Game Kunlun with Arm Heroes, and then you have Shanda with a very successful acquisition of a Japanese IP, Million Arthur, and then you have Gung Ho, which has actually started to expand out of Japan. The first 2 key markets were actually outside of Japan were actually Korea and the US, and then you have King doing very well in Candy Crush Saga. And they also, I think they took someone very important away from Gameville. And finally, you have Gameloft with a surprise top hit. Actually, it's Asphalt 8. Yep. So that's the end of my numbers. There are a lot of other information that you can get on our website for free. Thank you.
Thank you.